The story unfolds in the martial art world where mortals and immortals have different planes where they live and prosper. On the mortals plane, Wu Kingdom is just one of the many kingdoms ruled by mortals. They practice martial arts with the help of their mortal techniques to reach greater heights. In this world where strength rules supreme, martial arts are the key. Wu Yu is one of the princes of the Wu Kingdom. After his emperor's father's death, he was to become the crown prince that will lead the nation in the future. But as everyone was coveting the kingdom's throne, just before the day of crowning, Wu Yu was caught up in a conspiracy. He was drugged and put in the same bed with an emperor's consort. Wu Yu woke up, and as he regained his senses, he got confused seeing one of his father's consort on the same bed with him. As he was compiling his thoughts, he was interrupted when water was splashed on him by the guards of the harem master consort Yuan Taxi. They sneered at him as Yuan Tai arrogantly asked Wu Yu to come to his senses and accept his crime. Only then Wu Yu realized that he is not dreaming and he was not present in his own room, but rather in the emperor's bedchamber. In addition to that, he also notices several people inside the room, including ministers and princes, that were forbidden to enter the bedchambers. As he was trying to understand the situation, Consort Yuan Taxi ordered the guards to take the adulterous couple away. Later, the guard threw them on the ground in the Taxi palace to receive their judgment. As he was thrown on the floor, everyone present in the palace started accusing and criticizing him. Yuan Taxi ordered the palace guards to drag Consort Ming out to execute her. She tried to defend herself and kept on swearing to be innocent, but to no avail. Everyone present stated that Wu Yu should be guilty and punished for this crime, and that he is not worthy to become a crown prince and lead the kingdom. Yuan Tai took this chance and stated Wu Yu was guilty of cheating with a consort just after the emperor's death, so he should be punished. Wu Yu realized that he has been conspired against, and as he tried to stand, he failed and noticed that he had been poisoned. Later, Prince Rong arrived and started pointing and accusing Wu Yu of being materialistic, merciless, and a martial arts fanatic that has no honor. Commander Wu of the Wu Kingdom military also gave foul remarks about him. Both of these people were punished by Wu Yu in the past due to their wrongdoings, and now they want revenge as he is down. Wu Yu tried to voice out his thoughts but was interrupted by Yuan Taxi when she warned him that he has no right to argue and ordered someone to call immortal Hao Tian. Wu Yu could not believe that the immortal sent by the heavens to protect Wu Kingdom was alarmed by this situation. Immortals usually don't interfere with mortal affairs, they only eradicate evil. He saw a glimmer of hope to get justice. The door opened, and a shadow of a human figure could be seen covered in mist. As he stepped in, a man with long white hair appeared. It was the immortal Hao Tian of the Wu Kingdom. As immortal Hao Tian entered, everyone present knelt down in respect and greeted the immortal. When Hao Tian approached, Wu Yu also greeted him with respect and requested justice. Inside his mind, Hao Tian is a righteous person and is sure to give him justice. Immortal asked Yuan Tai what happened in the kingdom. She explained Wu Yu's adultery and asked the immortal to punish him. Immortal stated that Wu Yu is not worthy, his cultivation will be abolished, and he will send to serve in the Northern Army. Wu Yu is in disbelief that Hao Tian made a judgment against him without any investigation. He concluded that no one can defeat him in the Wu Kingdom and only Hao Tian can suppress him. As a result, the higher-ups in the palace sided with each other, and Hao Tian was behind all of this. He realized that even the immortal that represents the will of heaven turned out to be a selfish and ruthless person. He laughed in vain as one of the ministers criticized him. Hao Tian took out a pouch containing soul-severing powder that could cut off the meridians and abolish a person's cultivation. He ordered the guards to make Wu Yu drink it. The two guards quickly followed the order and forced Wu Yu to drink the soul-severing powder. Wu Yu was full of grief as he knelt on the ground helplessly. In this life, he was the strongest mortal in Wu Kingdom, but he could not compete with Hao Tian. If in the next life, he will definitely get his revenge. His 10 years of hard work was all wasted. He passed out after taking the concoction. A few hours later, as Wu Yu stood in a prison wagon, surrounded by guards, a woman ran up to him and called his name. She was her sister, Princess Wu Wu. He told his sister that he couldn't do anything because heaven wants him to die, and not to worry because he will die with a clear conscience. Her sister was depressed. She could not do anything but just kneel and cry to watch his brother taken away. Moments later, somewhere in the northern mountains covered by snow, in the prison wagon, Wu Yu felt like he was going to die because of the weakness of his body and the extreme cold. He then lost consciousness and fell into the wagon. The guards thought he was already dead and picked up his body and threw him down the cliff. When his body fell to the ground, his golden pendant clung to his body and was absorbed by his body. His unconscious body floated as golden waves came out of the pendant. Inside his consciousness, a huge golden pillar appeared. Wu Yu got shocked at the sight of a heavenly pillar appearing in his consciousness. The huge pillar released a high sound, and as he put his hands on his ears, a huge figure similar to Sun Wukong appeared before him. He introduced himself as the great sage of the heavenly palace and asked him if he has the destiny to pass on his teachings and rise to the heaven. On the other hand, inside the palace, Yuan Cai is on her knees, thanking the immortal. He told her that there is nothing to thank for besides her. She is his disciple. He further told her to a cultivator the abolition of a prince is a normal matter and informed Yuan Cai he will let Yuan Hao take the throne the next day. On her knees, she thanked Hao Tian. He approached her and informed Yuan Cai that Yuan Hao is his family, even though he is not suitable for cultivation. It's better to be a moral emperor, as Yuan Hao is an illegitimate child of the consort Yuan Cai and Hao Tian. In a worried tone, she reminded Hao Tian that Wu Yu is very skillful and she fears that he will rise again. Hao Tian assured her that Wu Yu will not survive because he ordered Wang Xing to intercept and eliminate him. Hence, they should not fear him. Yuan Cai felt relieved at his words. Meanwhile, somewhere in the mountains, as Wu Yu regained consciousness, he could not believe to be still alive. When he got up, he noticed that the effects of the soul breaker disappeared. He is depressed that his fifth heaven martial arts, forging flesh, grinding tendons, bone refining, internal strength, and blood transfusion, everything he had trained for is now destroyed. He was still confused about the dream. Then he remembered that at a young age, when his mother died, an old man came to his window every night to tell stories. He couldn't see that old man even if he tried. One day that old man gave him the goldenrod pendant and instructed him to wear it all time, that it will keep him safe. Back to the present. Now that the pendant is gone, he assumed that the figure that appeared in his dream was the old man, but now is not the right time to ponder on it, and he has to cultivate Vajra's body of immortality. So, he sat in a lotus position and focused on his cultivation. The first of Vajra's body will be Vajra forging flesh. After an extreme focus on his cultivation, he tried his strength and destroyed a tree using his knee. After that, he went back to his cultivation. The next day, after training Vajra's body, he tried his strength and punched a big stone that shattered with a single blow. He is pleased that he accomplished the first level of martial heaven, and his strength is equal to 3 war horses and 3 times greater than the normal rank 1 martial heaven. He was significantly amazed by his progress, and without wasting time, he immediately prepared to train second level Vajra's tendon. He continued enhancing his body and training hard continuously to practice Vajra's tendon for 6 days. On the 7th day, he finally achieved the second layer of Vajra's tendon, and his strength is now 5 times that of the same rank martial artist. With a strength of 10 war horses, now he is finally close to achieving rank 4 martial heaven. He suddenly smelled a foul stench in the air. Turning around, he saw a giant snake demon. A blue mist suddenly appeared around the snake as it transformed into a beautiful female human. Wu Yu pointed at her, saying she is the disciple of immortal Hao Tian, Wan Qing. She is also the reason that thousands of people disappeared in the Wu Kingdom over the past 10 years. Wan Qing stated that she came to fulfill Hao Tian's orders to erase Wu Yu from the world. He mocked Wan Qing, saying that she will not be able to defeat him alone. She assured him that before she was no match for him, but now she can easily kill him, as he had lost his martial arts. Being confident, Wan Qing immediately rushed forward to attack. Fortunately, Wu Yu dodged her attack, combined with a heavy blow directly to her stomach that sent her flying far away. Wan Qing is in pain and could not believe him to be still strong, although his meridians have been cut. Wu Yu seized the opportunity, rushed towards Wan Qing, and dealt another fatal blow that sent her flying into a tree. But he wasn't done yet and jumped to attack again. Wan Qing quickly transformed into a giant snake and threatened to eat Wu Yu, but Wu Yu did not budge and kicked the snake. Then he rode on its head and started hitting it with a stone. The snake cried in pain and begged to spare her life, but Wu Yu does not care about it and planned to finish her off. However, before he dealt the finishing blow, she shouted to reveal the secrets about his emperor father's death. She told him that Hao Qian and Yuan Texi is behind her father's death, and they used many poison pills in his father's food to slowly kill him. What he heard astounded him, and his anger were shaking him. The snake saw the opportunity to act and pushed him away with his head. Wu Yu was thrown down the cliff due to the impact and fell into the Bibo River. Wan Qing was relieved. She was sure that Wu Yu was erased from the world because no one could survive the Bibo River. Some days later, Wu Yu woke up in a room, astonished that survived and wondering where he was. An old man carrying a bowl noticed that he is awake. Wu Yu noticed that the old man had the same voice as the one who gave him the golden pendant. So he asked if he had seen him 10 years ago, and the old man told him he has been in mountains for decades, so it's impossible for them to have met. As the old man handed him the medicine bowl, he asked where he was and got shocked to discover that he is at Immortal Gate. The old man asked him if he has heard about Zongmen, the sect of cultivating immortals. Wu Yu informed him that only a few people know about Zongmen because immortals don't interfere in worldly affairs. Wu Yu thanked him for saving his life and introduced himself. The old man also introduced himself as Sun Wudo and informed that he was not the one that saved him, but rather the head teacher, and explained that the head teacher arranged for him to become a handyman here. As he drank the bowl of soup, he noticed that the medicinal efficiency here is extraordinary. Soon after, Wudo told Wu Yu to follow him. As he stepped outside, he was astonished by the sight of Zongmen, a floating island that looked like a fairyland on Earth with several buildings atop. Wudo informed him that most of the Taoism here is related to the sword. That's why it's called Tongshan Sword Sect. Wudo handed him the uniform and asked him to change and follow along. He then informed Wu Yu about Zongmen. The strongest among Zongmen is the head teacher, the legendary Jindan Immortal, after him the elders, the core disciples, and lastly outer disciples. There is a difference in status between core and outer disciples. The number of outer disciples is several times that of core disciples. However, other than that, most of the disciples are handymen, taking care of daily food, spirit beasts, and fairy spirits. Handymen cannot leave until they reach the 5th rank of martial arts heaven at the age of 15. At the 6th rank, they will have the opportunity to pass the assessment and become formal disciples. Consequently, they will no longer be handymen and can start cultivating immortality. Wudo also reminded him that the most important rule for a handyman is not upset an immortal. It does not matter if he is an outer disciple because he can be killed. As he looked up at the sky, Wu Yu agreed with the old man's advice. Wu Yu noticed an immortal in the sky flying on a crane. Wudo immediately bowed Wu Yu's head and informed him that she is Su Yanli, the peak master of Yanli Peak. She is the direct disciple of the head teacher and highest status among core disciples. He learned from the old man that the assessment would be held in 2 months. When they arrived at the fairy beast garden, the old man instructed him that their task, for now, is to take care of fairy beasts. There they were greeted by an arrogant man, Zhao Chuan, the chief handyman with his lackeys. He asked the old man who was with him. Wudo answered him politely. Chuan thought that if Wudo's companion is the one saved by the head teacher, he probably would be strong as he survived the fatal tides of the Bibo River, so he asked Wu Yu to spar with him to show his capabilities. Wudo desperately explained that Wu Yu's body is weak because he has not recovered yet, and moreover Zhao Chuan is in the 4th rank of martial heaven and is not fair to fight with someone weaker. Luckily, Chuan was annoyed and let them be. He also threatened that they will be sacrificed if they made any mistake in performing tasks. At the same time, in the air, 4 immortals are talking while riding their big cranes. The man said he came to see his senior sister to learn the way of immortality. Then, the cranes landed in the fairy beast garden. On the other hand, Wudo reminded Wu Yu to not look directly at the immortals. As the immortals passed by, Wu Yu remembered if it not for the soul-severing powder, he would have been one of the immortals. By late afternoon, Wu Yu was sweeping an outer disciple. Saidu Jin was furious when he saw his crane was lifeless. Zhao Chuan pointed at Wu Yu and accused him of serving Saidu Jin's crane. Wu Yu tried to deny the accusation, but Saidu Jin did not even listen to Wu Yu and whipped him angrily. Upon the fierce hit, Wu Yu crumbled on the ground, while Saidu Jin insulted him for being a lowly slave. Wudo intervened. He took the blame and begged to spare Wu Yu. Still, Wu Yu knows that Zhao Chuan is targeting him, so intends to confront it head-on. Saidu Jin smirked. He hates people who are useless, yet dared to show bravery. The woman beside him even pointed out he should be finished to set an example for others. Saidu Jin agreed with her and whipped Wu Yu with all his strength, sending him flying far away. After concluding that he is not alive, the immortals left. On the other side, Wu Yu was still alive, bearing the injuries he received because of this humiliation. He is determined to join the sect to pay back. The old man worriedly rushed to him and advised him not to hold grudge against the immortals, but Wu Yu intends to take revenge as he is the successor of Sun Wukong. 10 days later, in a forest near the mountains, after continuous rigorous training, Wu Yu finally reached the 3rd level of Vajra's body and was not far from achieving Golden Flame Bones. He was so immersed in his training that he did not notice his surrounding as Zhao Chuan and his lackeys sneaked up on him. Zhao Chuan felt strange that how can he survive after getting beaten up badly? He must possess some sort of treasure that helped him to defend himself against Jin's attacks. Therefore, he threatened Wu Yu to take out the treasure, otherwise they would kill him. Wu Yu bravely rejected them. He knew that Zhao Chuan is at the 4th rank of martial heaven, so he might be able to kill him with some effort. Upon hearing his rejection, one of the lackeys stated they would finish Wu Yu for being stubborn and requested permission from Chuan to crush him. He dashed forward, intending to finish Wu Yu in a blow. However, he remains unfazed. He dodges the punch and dealt a heavy blow to his stomach, sending him flying that made Zhao Chuan surprised. The other lackeys, upon seeing their comrade beaten up, rushed towards Wu Yu to beat him. He is still unfazed, and to their surprise, Wu Yu started beating them one after the other and finally beat all of them. As Zhao Chuan watched his lackeys beaten up, he realized that Wu Yu is precise and professional in his technique, so he decided to fight him on his own. On the other side, Wu Yu is astonished by the effectiveness of Vajra's body and that simple attacks cannot harm him. He smirked and provoked Zhao Chuan to fight him. Nonetheless, Zhao Chuan draws his sword and is confident that Wu Yu's physical body cannot resist his sword. However, Wu Yu is very positive. He clenched his fist and dashed forward using his Dragon Tiger Fist technique, but Zhao Chuan dodged his blow and swayed his sword. Wu Yu noticed Zhao Chuan's power. He is already in the inner strength realm and forged his organs, so it's not easy to deal with him. Chuan immediately used Pure Blossom sword technique and launched multiple wind blades. Fortunately, Wu Yu used Monkey Ghost stance to dodge the blades. Now that both Wu Dou and his life are on the line, he is determined to fight to the death. He continued to dodge the attacks. Chuan got irritated and mocked him if he only knows to dodge. Chuan got full of him and swiftly attacked from behind, slashing Wu Yu in his chest and crashing him into a tree. Fortunately, he survived as he had already achieved Golden Flame Bones. Otherwise, he would have died. As he leaned against a tree, Zhao Chuan and his lackeys approached. The lackeys suggested torturing Wu Yu until he tells the truth and then killing him. Zhao Chuan raised his sword and attacked Wu Yu, but unexpectedly, Wu Yu stopped his sword with his hands. They were shocked and could not believe Wu Yu still had power. As he held the sword with his left hand, he used the Azure Dragon Fist technique and punched Chuan in the face, which led to his death. After he defeated Chuan, he breathed a sigh of relief. Fear, shock, and stuttering gripped the 4 lackeys. They threatened Wu Yu that he will be punished by Sword Sect. He pointed his sword at them as they begged for mercy. But Wu Yu is full of them and slayed them one after the other with their master's sword. As he stands looking at his left hand, he was grateful to the great sage for giving him a new life. He then hides the sword in the soil to use it later in the entrance exam, but unannounced to him, a woman behind the tree witnessed everything. It was Su Yanli. She wondered what kind of training he has done to defeat Zhao Chuan. On the other side, Wu Yu is sure that at the current rank of Vajra's body, his wounds will recover in a day, so he must hide the injuries from Wu Dou to not make him worried. Later he arrived at his dorm. He thought Wu Dou should be asleep by now. Upon entering the house, he notices a bowl of medicine with a letter and reads it. He promised himself that he will definitely fulfill the wish of the old man by winning the assessment. 2 days later, at the Tongshan Peak in the Tongshan Immortal Palace, Su Yanli reported Wu Yu's actions to his master. His master asked what she intends to do. She explained that Wu Yu is not guilty of anything based on the teachings of her master's immortal way is the way of predation, so she intends to take Wu Yu under her. Headmaster Feng Suyed explained that his way of immortality is great, and with the techniques of Tongshan, she will reach the Golden Core stage soon, or even the rank of teacher. Su Yanli politely agreed with her master, saying she understands. Her master was impressed by her words. Furthermore, he also intends to protect Wu Yu as he is destined to become immortal. 1 month later, Wu Do is concerned about Wu Yu and advised him not to go out and just rest. From what he knows, Zhao Chuan and his lackeys died due to a demon going berserk. With a bright smile, he told Wu Do not to worry as he will remain near the fairy beast garden. The old man agreed and reminded him to be careful. As he leaves the house, he is glad that the old treated him like his own son. Somewhere in the beast garden, he sits in a lotus stance to cultivate Vajra's body technique, 4th layer, 5 spiritual viscera. In this layer, he needs to separate pure, purple, yellow, white, and black gold spirits and fuse them together to be successful. But before fusion, he has to tear his 5 viscera, which will bring excruciating pain. As he tears his 5 viscera, he feels excruciating pain throughout his body, but is determined to join the immortal path as he only got one chance, so there is no space failure. As he bent on the ground, tearing and fusing his viscera, moments later he finally succeeded in achieving 4th layer 5 spiritual viscera. What he did not expect is to be able to achieve 4th stage of mortal body refinement, which has a power equal to 134 warhorses and is even stronger than the common stage 6 of mortal body refinement. While holding his sword, he reminded himself that it was his final day as a handyman. Moments later, Wu Do arrived and informed him that it's time for work. While doing their tasks, the worried old man reminded him not to go anywhere or he might end up like Zhao Chuan. Wu Yu agreed and asked the old man if he intends to watch the entrance exam. At the same time, in the air, while the immortals were riding their cranes, Sidu Jin's eyes glinted as he looked down. When Wu Yu noticed the coming immortals, Wu Do advised him to hide, but it's too late as the immortals had already noticed. A disciple pointed at Wu Yu with shock. Sidu Jin explained he used most of his strength while beating him, yet he still survived. Sidu Jin approached them and mocked Wu Yu for still being alive. He politely greeted the immortal and informed him that he struggled to stay alive and thanked him for having mercy. Hua Chen, an outer sect disciple, interrupted and mocked Sidu Jin for being weak, saying he could not beat a servant. If it was her, she would have no problem torturing the culprit. Sidu Jin agreed with her and explained to Wu Yu that it's not easy to forget what happened. Wu Do interjected, saying he was the one who brought Wu Yu, so he should be punished. Wu Yu intervened to protect the old man and said to ignore them. As a result, Sidu Jin got angry and said he has no right to ignore his order. Wu Yu argued that even a servant cannot be insulted like this. Sidu Jin raised his whip, but just before he hit, he flew away and crashed into a rock. In the aftermath of the blow, he was surrounded by dust and demanded to know who had the nerve to attack him. Just as his front became visible, Su Yanli appeared. Su Yanli explained that this is her territory and 3 of them are not allowed to come here from now on. Besides, Wu Yu is a handyman of her peak. If he needs to be punished, she would do it herself, not him. He warned Su Yanli that his little brother Sediminglang has already reached the peak of the body refinement stage and his talent was much better than hers. Hua Chen added that Sect Guardian Sovereign is ready to accept him as a disciple, and in the future, his status will exceed hers. With fierce eyes, she asked them if they were threatening her. The 3 immortals quickly turned around to their cranes. Sifu Jin explained he would not dare threaten her. He would just leave Yanli Peak. But deep inside, he is shaking with anger and wants to take revenge when his brother becomes powerful. Wu Yu politely thanked Subianli for her assistance. As the women flew away, Wu Yu realized that Ming Lang is already at the peak and defied heaven's law, whereas he is still at rank 5. The next day, at the Ascension Peak, everyone is excited about the exam. Wu Yu brought the old man and informed him that the competitors will enter from the bottom and the old man can watch everything from up here. Before going down to the competition site, Wu Yu told the old man he will explain everything about the competition later when he comes back. He then went to the bottom of the peak towards the competition site to register for the assessment. He is confident to join the immortal path today. Thank you, friends, for joining us on this exciting adventure in the world of manhwa in today's manhwa maze. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on every exciting episode.